Welcome to G Money Sports College Football Show Week 5. Back again with Wulfy. Wulfy, how was your weekend?
It was good. Good weekend of college football. Started out 0-5, rallied back to a 12-10 record.
12-10. Hey, positive. That's not bad.
Yeah, no, the 2 weeks ago went so terribly. I think that we both went sub 500. So this is definitely like a good week to build off of. And I'm like I really feel like I'm starting to find like where like teams are at this season.
Yeah, it's good about that point, week 5, where we're starting to figure out where the teams are going to be all year. And yeah, I ended up, I think, 16-11. My lock hit. That was awesome. Western Michigan, shout out. So it's a good week.
My lock hit is good as well. Western Kentucky,
So,
shout out.
We'll hopefully keep this positive momentum going into week 5.
For sure.
All right, getting into the slate here. First game I have on our card, Iowa's at Maryland. Iowa's 3.5-point favorite. Over under is 48. Do you have a pick on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I love Iowa. I know it's really easy to look at the box score last week against Colorado State, but
They didn't cover.
they didn't cover. But like, don't get confused by it. They controlled that whole entire game. Iowa's still a really, really, really good team. Maryland is also like, they're a nice team.
They're an average Big Ten team, that's what I'd say.
But if they have Big Ten championship aspirations with Shiana, like they're still a couple of years away.
Well, she got Rutgers.
Oh, fuck. Rutgers, sorry. Fuck. Yeah.
They're the same team, though.
So, yeah. Literally, though. Literally.
At the same time. Yeah, I also am all over Iowa. I don't know. I just think their play style travels. We've seen in the last couple of weeks, Friday night games are tough for the road team, but I think their play style will just travel. I don't think Maryland has a great D-line. I think they're probably going to get ran over. And I love Maryland. I've been betting on them all year, but I don't think they're ready for Iowa's defense. So,
And Penix is also
he's okay.
I like him a lot.
He's an Iowa quarterback.
He is an Iowa quarterback, but like I would even go as far as saying like he's been looking better than Beathard. Yeah.
High praise. That's high praise. We'll see. Moving on to maybe the biggest game of the week, depending on who you ask. Arkansas at Georgia. Georgia's 18.5-point favorites, over under 48.5. Arkansas coming off huge win against Texas A&M. Kind of dominated them the whole game.
Oh my god, yeah.
So plus 18.5. That's a big spread. I kind of feel like this one's a trap. You know, I think the books are like take that plus 18.5. Like with Arkansas, they want you to take the Arkansas spread because it's so big. So that made me think Georgia. But the more I think about it, over under is 48.5. So all Arkansas has to do is score 17 points, and I think they can do that. Texas A&M has a really good defense, and they kind of made them look average. So
Yeah.
I think I don't know if they're going to win outright, especially at Georgia, but I definitely think Arkansas covers 18.5, even though I feel like this might be a little bit of a trap.
I mean, I think it's a trap. I'm taking Georgia because I do think it's a trap. I mean, Georgia's defense is.
Yeah, especially coming off a big win.
Like, I mean, Arkansas's hot. They just beat 2 top 25 teams. Like, I mean, you just think about that, like, for your football team in general.
Yeah.
Like, that hard of a schedule, 3 weeks in a row, you're playing Texas A&M, Georgia, and then who'd they play, though?
Texas.
Texas.
It would be Texas 14.
Okay, yeah, Texas. So I mean, they've had a really rough schedule early, and I know Georgia has too. I mean, they played Clemson, but I just feel like
Clemson kind of sucks.
Clemson is bad. Like,
I'd say Georgia's only big test this year was Clemson. They only beat them 10-3. So
yeah,
I don't know what that says about Georgia.
Yeah, I mean that is a good point. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with Georgia. I don't feel good about the pick because I even told you early on this season I'm pretty high on Arkansas, but I don't know. I think it's a trap pick.
Especially at Georgia, it's kind of scary, but I think we'll be on opposite ends on this one.
Yeah,
I'm going to take the bait. I'm going to take the Arkansas, see what happens. Worst case scenario, I feel like they're down 21, might score a late second one to just,
Right.
come up thread. Moving on to Texas at TCU. Texas is -5 favorites, and the over-under is 65. So Texas coming off last week, 70-35, 105 points.
Made themselves look like a dark horse for the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, their offense is legit. Defense, You know, they played well against Texas Tech. I mean, holding Texas Tech to 35, I feel like it's all right. I don't really have a pick on the spread. TCU's coming off a loss to SMU at home. We're back at home. I don't know. I like the over a lot. I'll watch this game. It should be a fun game to watch because it's gonna be a lot of points. And I just think play the over and sit back and have fun.
Mm-hmm. That over's super high though at 65. So like
105 points. And it's not like TCU's lack scoring either. I mean, last week they played SMU 32-42, I think. 34-42 was like the final score.
Yeah, but
they put up points.
I mean, but if you know, like,
especially at home.
I mean, Texas is literally just like, you know, like 1 week they're like, oh wow, this team, like they're legit, and then they just come out next week. It was like, was I watching the same team that I was watching the week before?
But the one really bad loss this year was to Arkansas, who we now know is actually a really good team.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know if I'm totally dissuaded on Texas. I think they might be better than they have been. I think their offense plays so fast paced. 65, I mean, that's only 32, 35, you know, right in there. So as long as one team hits 40 and one team hits 30, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's manageable.
And excuse me, it should be a close game. But I also like Texas too, as well. I don't know. I mean, they put up points. Like, and at TCU, like, I know going into this year, they were like a potential dark horse for the Big 12. I never saw it. And that bet, I mean, they had a bet. I mean, needless to say, that's a bad loss against SMU. It's a rivalry game.
It's a rivalry game at home. You can't lose that one, especially if you have Big 12 title aspirations.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't love the spread at -5, just because you never know you're going to get with Texas. And Texas always plays weird games in the Big 12, so something weird's bound to happen. So 5's a lot of points. I feel like it could be like a 3-4 game. Mm-hmm. They could also blow them out by 28. Like, we just really don't know at this point. If I had to pick something, that would definitely be the over. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So. Moving on to Michigan at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's 2-point favorites. Over-under is 43.5. So these two teams had very different weeks. Michigan won. They kind of were dominating Rutgers in the first half. Then they had one first down in the entire second half and almost let Rutgers back into it. Mm-hmm. Wisconsin played Notre Dame very close until the fourth quarter, and then Grambirds fell apart. They gave up 31 points, and all of a sudden it was 43-13, or whatever the final ended up being. So I don't know. I'm selling on Wisconsin for the year. I think I just don't think their offense is good at all. Their Wisconsin staples running the ball, and they just haven't done it effectively. and I think Michigan's defense is always really good at stopping the run.
And they've looked good this year, too.
They've looked good. So, I mean, I'll take the Michigan +2, and I also like under 43.5. Because same thing. I think Wisconsin's defense Notre Dame scored 21 points off of defense and special teams. Mm-hmm. So it's like I think that over is a little skewed, and I think it'll come back down. And I think that under will definitely hit. That's my biggest play from this game.
See, I don't understand what's that's close. I don't know what this is.
I think home game Camp Randall is kind of a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the last couple of meetings have been dominated by Wisconsin.
Yeah, but I mean, this just hasn't been a Wisconsin team. I mean, I'm not seeing it here. I mean, I love Michigan like all the way. I mean, every time I've seen them play this year, I haven't been disappointed except when I fucking took Northern Illinois. But no, I mean, I really like Michigan. I could see this like being the game that Wisconsin like pulls off, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, Wisconsin. So
this could be their weekly bet. I mean, this is really for both teams. This is a huge week. Mm-hmm. Michigan, this is like a prove it, like we're back game. Yeah. For Wisconsin, it's like we're not totally trash this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are disdained last year with Michigan. It was just such a weird year in the Big Ten. Like, you just can't judge Harbaugh or like Michigan itself off of just that one year.
No, totally different team. I don't know. I'm not totally sold on the quarterback, Cade McNamara. I actually think the backup's a little bit better. I forget what his name is, but they haven't played him too much. But I like him more. Wish he would get some more run time. But yeah, so we're both on Michigan. Looks like, and I like the under as well. Moving on. Cincinnati at Notre Dame. Cincinnati's 2-point favorites. Over-under is 15.5. Notre Dame coming off a huge win last week. Mm-hmm. I know you're a Notre Dame fan, so I'll let you take this one first.
Oh yeah, I like Notre Dame a lot on this pick. Cincinnati does have a really good team. Like you put them in any Power Five team, I think they're a type of team that's going to contend for any type of championship, except for maybe like the SEC. I mean Notre Dame they put up points, dude. I mean their offense is just awesome. I don't think Cincinnati has ever seen like a team of this stature yet, like this season. And I know they like last year they have a bunch of returning starters, and they won a lot of games last year. But Jack Cohn is awesome. Like he's the best quarterback like in Notre Dame history since since maybe like Tommy Reese or maybe like as far as back as like Brady Quinn. I'm raving over this guy. Like he has the arm talent for it. I mean he's tough. And like that's like I mean I feel like the past couple of years that like Notre Dame like what they've been like looking for is that quarterback to like put them over the edge and like help them contend in the college football playoffs. I really like them as a college football playoff like dark horse, and this game is just going to be like I feel like they're kind of going to be like their turning point is if this is a college football playoff team or if their aspirations of just like getting like a Fiesta Bowl or into a Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
So I mean I know I kind of went on a big tangent here, but I mean, the college football playoffs are wide open right now, and I really, really like Notre Dame in this pick.
All right, so I'm going to go opposite of you. Like you said, it is a college football playoff game for Notre Dame, but it also is a college football playoff game for Cincinnati.
Yeah, that is true.
This is their last non-conference game. This is their chance to make a big statement. I think they've had this circled since last year when they didn't make the college football playoffs.
That was also ranked Cincinnati.
They played Indiana and they played one other. It was a decent team.
They picked their schedule. Oh.
They did. They picked it so they played teams that will get them into the playoffs. Let's see. It'd be Indiana last week. Oh, never mind.
Just Indiana.
They played Miami of Ohio week 1.
Okay.
Murray State. In Indiana. So
okay, I'm probably just thinking of Indiana, and Indiana's actually not that good.
No, but you know I like them this week.
We won't get into that yet, but yeah.
I think they're going to prove it. I know how good of a team that they are this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think Desmond Ridder is a really good quarterback. I think the defense is actually really solid, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not sold on Jack Cohn.
Really?
No, I'm not.
Really?
I think he's okay. I haven't seen him play a good team yet.
Okay.
Notre Dame. I don't think Wisconsin's very this year, like we talked about the last pick. They barely beat Florida State.
And again, like I think if Notre Dame loses this game, I will take everything I said back about Jack Cohn. But I mean, like you got to think. I mean, like you're totally right. Like the talent that Jack Cohn has played has just not been good, and he pretty much has a leg up on that Wisconsin defense already because he's been playing for 3 or 4 years already.
It was only 13-10 going to the fourth, and then he goes out. So he only put up 13 points in 3 quarters. I'm not sold on him yet. We'll see. I like Cincinnati though. A lot of contesting picks this week.
As you start going down these picks, I'm starting to agree with you a lot more.
Moving on to the next one then. Ohio State is at Rutgers. Ohio State's 15-point favorites. Over-under is 58. Coming into this one, I don't really see Ohio State being 15-point favorites against anyone in Big Ten right now, just with the way they're playing. I mean, it's the same way with Clemson. It is. People like betting those blue bloods, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, those teams like Oklahoma always has big spreads. But I don't think they're worthy of it this year. I really like Rutgers. He's a freshman, so as of right now, no. I don't think they're a college football playoff team. I'm being honest. I think they'll probably drop one in the Big Ten. This could very well be the one at Rutgers. I think Rutgers coming off a game where they felt like they could have won against Michigan. They're going to come out motivated. Greg Schiano has a team playing really good. The defense is playing really well. They're stopping the run. Offense is so-so, but I think Ohio State's defense has been really bad this year. They have really bad secondary. A lot of injuries back there. So 15 points at home. I like Rutgers to cover that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I like Rutgers too. Like, I don't know why the spread is that big, and I'm not going to do what I did with Georgia. I'm a little more confident in Georgia this year than I am in Ohio State. I don't think Oregon's really even that good either.
No, I agree with you there.
Like, I was very, very, very surprised that Oregon beat Ohio State. And you remember, like, last year, Iowa State, the team that we watched the most, beat Oregon.
Beat Oregon handily.
So, like, yeah, I mean, you told me early on this year, like, watch out for Rutgers. And
they've been covering machines.
They're great team to bet with.
Great team to bet with. They play such good defense. It keeps them in every game. It's like
they're a well-coached football team.
It's like betting Iowa if they were plus 13 every week. It's just their defense is going to keep them in it the whole time. It's going to be a close game. So when you give them 15 points, I mean, you're just asking for them.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe it's a trap pick, but I'm sticking with Rutgers.
That would like maybe even be close to my lock of the week, but again, too much of a trap pick.
Yeah. Moving on to Oklahoma at Kansas State. Oklahoma's 10.5-point favorites. The over/under is 52.5. I'll let you start on this one.
I'm looking at your card too, and I know that you have Kansas State, and I don't want to say Kansas State because Kansas State always plays Oklahoma really, 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 really close.
Especially at home.
At home.
Manhattan's a tough place to win.
I feel like this is just like such a perfect bet that like I don't get it. Like I mean like I guess the most comparable team that Kansas State that Oklahoma's played is probably Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean their defense is good. Kansas State, I will say, it has some quarterback issues right now.
Mm-hmm.
Skylar Thompson's hurt, who came in the year as a starter. Their backup is hurt. Skylar Thompson might play, same with the backup, so they're both questionable. That kind of affects the pick a little bit for me. But I just think of Manhattan at home. The defense has been playing so well. And also, Oklahoma hasn't done anything this year to make me think that they're going to cover 10.5 on the road in a Big 12 game.
I know it's very easy for Oklahoma fans just to default on Spencer Rattler. But, West Virginia, they are a pretty good team this year. And say what you want, Spencer Rattler took him down the field that last drive. He took him the length of the field. So I don't know what Oklahoma is exactly looking for. I mean, I don't know. I know there's a lot of question marks around Oklahoma this year, and I'm gonna stick to Kansas State too. But I don't know what exactly their problem is.
I don't know. They finished the year so strong last year, and they returned a lot of people, and they just have not looked like the same team yet. And that's kind of what has me worried about this pick, because it's every week you kind of wait, is this the week they finally wake up and blow somebody out?
Right.
And just kind of, I don't think this is a spot, though. Mm-hmm. I liked them last week at home. I don't like them on the road at Kansas State. I don't think this is a get-right game. Could even be, coming the week with questionable quarterbacks, they'll be don't know how to game plan for, so maybe their defense comes out and, is surprised.
Right.
You don't know. Kansas State's such a tough team to play.
Well-coached team.
I also kind of like the under 52.5. Last week 16-13 was final score against West Virginia. Kansas State doesn't score a whole lot of points, so
it was 28-24 with them against Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
I actually really like that under pick as well. Kansas State all the way.
Moving on to the second biggest or maybe biggest game of the week, Ole Miss at Alabama. Alabama is 14 or 14.5 points favorites, depending on where you find it. Over and under is at 80. It is the biggest spread over under in SEC history.
Really?
Yeah. So 2 picks for me on this one. I'm gonna take Alabama. I'm not sold on Ole Miss, but I think this is the perfect. 14 is so low for Alabama at home. It's a rivalry game. Mm-hmm. I think Alabama's pretty good this year. It's just I think Florida kept it close with them, so maybe people think they're not unbeatable.
Well, there's been that one ESPN analysis who's just been going off saying that like Alabama's not a legit like college football team. I mean, like if you're okay, maybe he knows, but if you're just a casual fan who's watching games, there's no way you can actually know because it's like all you've seen from Bama this year is just put up points. The only close game they've had was Florida, and Florida's really good.
Yeah.
So
I like Ole Miss. At Alabama is such a hard place to play though, and I'm also gonna take the under. I mean, over 80, man. That's crazy.
that is a lot.
I think Bama's defense might shut down Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin, the last time he played Bama, played terribly. Like, the team was awful, and Alabama blew him out. Albeit, he's had another year of recruiting, so the team's getting better, the roster's getting where he wants it. But I don't know if they're ready to make that next step to being an SEC contender. So that'll be a big test. If they keep it within that spread, I think they're legit.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think they're a year or two away from covering the spread. I think Bama's still by far the best team in SEC. Not by far. Georgia's close. But Bama and Georgia by far the two best teams in SEC. So I'll take the 14 at home. I also like under 80. I think Bama scores 40, 50 points, and I think Ole Miss probably scores 20.
I'm going to be taking that too. I like Ole Miss a lot. I do think they're
I love Lane Kiffin.
like
Great coach.
awesome guy, just awesome individual. But like, I mean, I know the spread is really, really, really high, but I just think of these SEC games, and I just immediately just think 28-14.
Yeah.
And I really like Bama this year. I'm not gonna jump off the boat quite yet. I like Bama. I don't know. I mean, there's not too much to say. I like Bryce Love. They've been playing well. Saban is Saban. I don't know. I could see Ole Miss definitely covering this game, and if I do see that, it's just going to be one of those picks. It's like, it is what it is.
I won't be upset because I like Ole Miss and I like to see them be good.
Right.
But I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
I'm going to take off Baylor and Oklahoma State.
Thank you.
So the next game we'll move into, we're actually on both opposite sides of this as well. Kansas at Iowa State. Iowa State's 34-point favorites. Over-under is 57.5. I'll let you go first and explain why Kansas is going to cover the spread.
Kansas, big week last week against Duke. I'm just like, I have a really, really just rough relationship with Iowa State right now. If you look into like the analytics of it, like everything would just point to them being a great football team. It's their special team that is holding them back, and it's pretty obvious. And I don't know, I just think it's oh yeah, perfect bet. Iowa State always covers the spread against Kansas. It's just one of those perfect bets, but I'm just so confident that Iowa State is going to find a way to ruin my life once again. So I'm gonna take Kansas. I wanted to take Baylor last week. I wanted to take UNLV the week before, but I just keep sticking to Iowa State. I feel like this is the week I'm gonna turn to the dark side.
I'm just saying I love Iowa State. I think coming off of, start of the season didn't go as planned. 2 tough losses early, but I think Matt Campbell's not the kind of coach that's going to have the team fold. I think, if anything, it's going to make them more hungry, come out and play how they can. It's October. It's going to be October when this game happens. We all know what happens in October. It's Brock Purdy's month. I expect them to get hot this month. Starting with a demolishing of Kansas. We haven't – last year we beat them by 30 at Kansas. They're a bad team. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah. They're still a bad team.
They're a terrible team. Their Super Bowl was being an FCS school week 1. They had a chance last week. They actually kept it pretty close, but they got beat by double digits by Duke, who is another armpit of college football. Just terrible team. Iowa State's going to shut Kansas down offensively. Their defense is our defense is so good this year. Like, I don't know, top 10 in the country for sure. Like, just great unit, led by a lot of veterans. Mike Rose, Hasheem Young, Will McDonald, just studs all across the board.
Yeah.
We're shut down Kansas defense. I think we're going to put up at least 42, 49, 50 points. I think Campbell wants to put it on Kansas this week.
I get it. Yeah, no, I like, and you're thinking the right way and the analytical way that you should be about this game. But I'm just refusing to do that. I'm just going to think with my heart, and I'm dumb, and I'm stupid, and I'm just going to pick Kansas.
That's one way to do it. Moving on to our last game that we'll go talk about, Indiana at Penn State. Penn State's 12.5-point favorites. Over-under is 54. So Penn State, where do we stand on Penn State? Because
Auburn's not good.
Auburn's not good. They almost lost to Georgia State, who this is what they didn't play last year.
And
it was at home.
They got blown out by Arkansas.
Yeah, so I mean, Auburn I don't think is very good.
So it's like, did you beat a bottom tier SEC school?
And Indiana beat them last year.
That is true. Auburn's a weird team, but they'll lose to UCF and then beat Bama.
Yeah, no, I mean they have there's so many NFL talent on Auburn, so it's kind of hard to tell. I just think 12.5. I mean, I know it's at home. You know, Lions Stadium is crazy.
Indiana's not that good.
Indiana's not that good. But 12.5 is a lot of points.
It is a lot of points, so, especially for a Big Ten game too.
Yeah, I think I'll take the 12.5. I don't love it, but this is a prove game too. I think low key. I just think if Penn State wants to prove they're for real, CFP contender, people are kind of asserting that they might be. I think they have to cover the spread and kind of demolish Indiana, who by all means is not a very good Big Ten team.
I wouldn't go to the extent of saying this is a college football game. I think this is just a game where it's like Penn State's like, all right, you got to take care of business. You know,
yeah.
It's strictly just a business meeting. You know, you got to take care of business, and I don't know. I mean, Indiana's bad. I mean,
a lot of close losses though.
Yeah, and they played. I mean, I know they lost to Cincinnati by 14, and Cincinnati covered.
That game was really close.
But I would say Cincinnati's just as good as Penn State.
They were winning, most of the game. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's tough one. I don't know. It's hard to tell how bad Indiana is. They got destroyed week 1, and then since then they played better. They lost again last week, right? Western Kentucky, or did Western Kentucky just cover?
I think Western Kentucky just covered.
Okay, so. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
For both teams, this is a Wulfy.
Again, I'm going to take Indiana too, but take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we'll move into our cards now. I would pick on this Thursday night game, but this won't be out in time, so I'm not going to read it off. Iowa -3 at Maryland. We already talked about that. Utah State +8.5 versus BYU. Not totally sold on BYU. I think they're a good team, but they don't blow anyone out by any means. And Utah State's a really good coach team. Arkansas +18.5 at Georgia. Riding with North Carolina -20 versus Duke. It's my 5th week in a row picking North Carolina. I'm 2-2. I think I must go positive on North Carolina, make it 3-2. I think Duke's terrible. I think Duke's god-awful. And North Carolina coming off a loss where they didn't look good. I think Sam Howell's going to come out on a mission, beat them by at least 30. Michigan, Wisconsin under 43.5 at Wisconsin. Missouri -3 versus Tennessee. This is kind of a weird game. I'm not very high on Tennessee.
I don't know enough about either team.
Missouri had a tough. Did they lose to Boston College? It was a close game with Boston College. They're not very good either, but I just think at home. Tennessee's not very good. Texas, TCU over 65. Western Michigan covered for me last week. I'm taking them again, 6.5. I think they might win their conference this year. They're a pretty good team. Wake Forest -6.5. They destroyed Virginia last Friday by about 20 points. So that went really well. Louisville's not very good. They got blown out by Ole Miss week 1. They're just not a very good team. They closed out a win against Florida State barely last year.
Had a good win against Boise State. Don't forget. Don't forget.
Got Cincy -2 at Notre Dame. Rutgers +15 versus Ohio State. Kansas State plus 10.5 versus Oklahoma. Alabama minus 14 versus Ole Miss, plus the under at 80. Syracuse plus 4.5 at Florida State. Syracuse coming off big win against Liberty. I mean, I think Syracuse is better than Florida State, like just a better football team right now. I watched the whole Liberty-Syracuse game, so I had money on it.
Liberty's a good team.
Liberty's a really good team, and I think Syracuse handled them pretty well. Their defense, they have a really good secondary at Syracuse. I didn't know this, but last year they had 3 quarterbacks get drafted from Syracuse. So, I mean, their defense is good. Florida State's, like, awful. Maybe the worst Power 5. Them in Kansas.
They had one close loss against Notre Dame, and that's going to be Mike Norvell's, like, final moment.
Yeah, I mean, they might not win outright, but 4.5, I mean, they keep within 2 or 3.
Yeah.
SMU minus 20.5. They big win against TCU last week. I think they're really good. Their offense is explosive. USF's one of the worst teams in college football.
I think they were supposed to win 1 game all year.
Yeah, their over-under on wins was 1.5. They're really bad. 20.5's really low, actually. I was thinking it would just be like 27.5. Florida minus 8 at Kentucky. I'm a big believer in Florida. I don't think Kentucky's very good. Iowa State minus 34 versus Kansas. Liberty plus 2 at UAB. Bounce back spot. I like Liberty there. Texas A&M minus 7 versus Mississippi State. After a disappointing week last week, I think Texas A&M comes back out. Jimbo Fisher has those guys ready. Northwestern, Nebraska under 50.5. I don't know why it says 50.5. This screams like a gross like 3-13 game. Like I don't
6
know.
fumbles.
I don't know why it says 50. UTEP minus 5.5 versus Old Dominion. They've been good to me the last 2 weeks. Old Dominion's also really bad. They've had a lot of bad losses. So 5.5 at home. Good. I want to talk about this one a little bit. Oregon State minus 2.5 versus Washington. I ended up tweeting. This is one of my picks. I had Oregon State last week plus 11.5 versus USC. And before the game, I was kind of just looking at it, and USC has just been really bad. So I put a big moneyline bet on Oregon State, and they, of course, blew them out by like 20. So
We watched that game together.
I'm really impressed with Oregon State. They ran the ball all over USC, and when they weren't running the ball, they threw the ball over USC.
Yeah.
Their offense looked good. Their defense had a lot of turnovers. Shut down USC. And USC's quarterback's supposed to be pretty good. But it was Slavis and the other guy's Jackson Dart, I think his name. But both of them look not good.
Yeah.
And Washington's been bad all year.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Slavis. Slavis looked bad in the Pac-12 championship game. Also, Oregon State, I don't know who their coach is, but it looks like he can coach.
They looked really good. I'm buying in. I'm buying in hard on Oregon State. Pac-12 is fun to watch in that. I'm not going to lie. It's wide open this year. I'm really excited for the match against Oregon. I'm almost certainly going to pick Oregon State, depending on what the spread is. But I might escalate that to my lock. I'm not committing to it yet. I've been thinking about it all week, kind of going back and forth on it. Check my Twitter and Facebook for the official announcement on my lock this week. And then my final pick, UCLA minus 3 versus Arizona State. Arizona State, we watched that game as well against Colorado. They didn't blow Colorado out of the water, and I think Colorado's like the worst Pac-12 team than in Arizona. So I wasn't super impressed, and I do believe that Chip Kelly is turning around UCLA. I think they're a pretty good team. At home, Arizona State, Pac-12 at night. It's going to be a fun game. I like UCLA minus 3. So that's my card for this week. Want to go through yours?
Yeah, for sure.
So I got Iowa against Maryland, Iowa just dominant force. Utah State against BYU. I love Utah State. Utah State is actually playing really, 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 really good this year. BYU, I know they had didn't they beat Arizona State? You may have mentioned that. I like Utah State a lot. I think they're a really, really, really good team this year. I like Georgia against Arkansas. I know we had some contingency against that. UNC versus Duke. I'm taking Duke. I know you like UNC a lot.
But against my boy Sam Howell, coming off a loss.
I understand.
Coming off a loss.
I mean, I just don't like North Carolina, and the fact that Vegas is giving them a 20-point spread after a loss, I feel like it's just kind of a sin just looking at this. That my point being that just I don't think Duke is that good. But I'll still just take Duke. Michigan against Wisconsin, taking Michigan. Trying to stay away from that Missouri game. Texas TCU. I'm going to be taking Texas in that game. Texas puts up points. Western Michigan against Buffalo. I love Western Michigan. You've got me turned on them this year.
Broncos.
They're a very good football. They have
all three phases.
Right.
That's what to say about them. All three phases.
Right. And then Wake Forest, Louisville. I doubted Wake Forest this past week, and that just murdered my eyes. Like, Virginia was bad. I thought Virginia was actually a lot better this year. That Illinois win was just a fraud win. Love Wake Forest. Louisville, I've been watching them a lot this year. You're right, they're not that good. They just had that one win against Boise State. So I could see this being a game that Louisville covers, but I just like Wake Forest way too much. Notre Dame, Cincinnati, I love Notre Dame. Rutgers, Ohio State, I like Rutgers. Kansas State, Oklahoma, I love Kansas State. Alabama, Ole Miss. This one, I know we talked a lot, and it's tough, but I'm still gonna ride with Bama. They're just Bama. And then Syracuse, Florida State. I wasn't originally going to take a bet on this one, but after hearing you talk about Syracuse, and I really do like Liberty a lot, I'm going to take Syracuse upright. Mike Norvell is a terrible coach.
No way around it.
Yeah. And then Florida, Kentucky. I love Florida. I'm going to be riding Florida hard all year. I really like Dan Mullen. ISU, Kansas, taking Kansas. Again, a pick that I don't love, but I'm just doing because I'm a big fat idiot. Liberty, UAB. Liberty all the way. Hugh Freeze till I die. Texas A&M, Mississippi State. Texas A&M. I took Texas A&M even last week when they lost to Arkansas, and I even had a hard time taking them last week. But a 7 point spread against Mississippi State, I just think it's just way too low. Who did Mississippi State? They had a bad loss this year. Yeah, so like I know that's probably just one of those losses that's like, oh well, we just bury the ball, but I still like Texas A&M too much.
You lost LSU last week.
That is true, and LSU's not bad. Actually, LSU's pretty. I don't know how to feel about it. Yeah,
they're confusing. I'm fair to know.
I think they're well coached. I think Coach O is a really good coach. It's just they don't have the talent there right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll give them like a good record, and we'll let them win a couple games this year by having Coach O. But outside of that, like,
who do they play this week?
I don't know.
LSU plays Auburn at home. That's a proven game for both teams. I think I saw LSU's minus 4.
LSU's my lock of the week against Auburn.
-4?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that's my lock. I don't like Auburn. I do not like Auburn. I'm starting to get turned on. Wow, that's hot. By LSU. And then Oregon State, Washington. Yeah. Oregon State, that offensive line,
oh my God,
just gushing over. They just bully people around. Honestly, I don't know who that coach is. It looks like he just when he recruited those guys, he's like, I just want as many offensive linemen as I can get and just beef. And they just push people around. And then UCLA, who does he coach at? Arizona State. I like UCLA. Who's the coach at Arizona State? He's Herm Edwards. I don't think Herm Edwards is doing as good of a job as people thought he was going to do at Arizona State. I really like UCLA. As you said before, Chip Kelly's turning that team into legit Pac-12 contenders. It's just I think UCLA is 1 or 2 years away, and I think this is just a prime game for Chip Kelly just to bite his teeth into.
For sure. All right, that's our Week 5 cards. Just want to give a quick shout out to the Brewers clinching the Central. Hopefully we can ride that into the playoffs. White Sox, big White Sox fan.
Yeah, they clinched the Central.
Who's their first round? You know yet?
No, I
Are they
don't
playing
know.
the wild card team, or are they playing the 3 seed?
I don't know. I haven't been paying too much attention to baseball. All the only the White Sox are falling apart. Carlos Rondon, arm soreness.
Yeah, a lot of injuries going on right now.
Well,
same with the Brewers though.
Well, so
we lost one of our best relievers.
Well, so in 2006, a lot of people think like Paul Konerko, Jim Thome, AJ Brzezinski, like big bats, like a lot of home runs. That wasn't the case for that 2006 team. It was like Mark Burley, Jose Contreras, John Garland, really, really, really solid pitching and a really, really good bullpen. And that's what I thought the White Sox were going to have going into this year. But they're a fraudulent team. They don't play good against teams that are above 500. Injuries are killing them. Lance Lynn hasn't looked the same as he started the year off. And then Giolito too, like the sticky stuff. It hurt him. Liam Hendricks, not the same. I don't want to go too much on it because I haven't been watching the White Sox too much, so I don't know how accurate my statements are. But it should be fun to at least be back in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, playoff baseball is always fun. You never know what's going to happen, especially. I mean, in the playoffs, it's just crazy. I'm excited though. Brewers are exact opposite. They've played really well against good teams this year, and played really down to bad competition. So they're a confusing team. Just lost a big reliever, Devin Williams. Punching the wall while he's drunk. How stupid do you have to be a pitcher and punch a wall with your pitching hand?
If you, do you remember Carlos Quentin?
Yeah.
Do you remember how he just threw his bat down and broke his thumb?
Yeah. I mean, that happens, but it should be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun.
But enjoy college football this weekend, playoff baseball coming up next week, and NFL and everything else. Thanks for watching.